Hello there. We'd like to welcome you to the first of several webinars scheduled for this spring semester, designed and developed by the International Center for Academic Integrity and co-sponsored by Turnitin. My name is Camilla Roberts, and I am the Associate Director for the Honor and Integrity System at Kansas State University. I am also currently serving as a member of the Transition Committee for the International Center for Academic Integrity. Today I will be serving as the moderator for this webinar. For those listening who might not be aware, the International Center for Academic Integrity was founded to combat cheating, plagiarism, and academic dishonesty in higher education. Its mission has since expanded to include the cultivation of cultures of integrity in academic communities throughout the world. ICAI offers assessment services, resources, and consultations to its member institutions and facilitates conversations on academic integrity topics each year at its annual conference. In order to meet the continually evolving needs of our membership in future years, ICAI encourages, supports, and shares research that predicts, describes, and responds to trends and issues relating to academic integrity standards and practices. ICAI membership benefits are extended to faculty, administrators, students, and staff at membership organizations around the globe, and to its individual members, partners, and supporting organizations. Please feel free to take a look at our website, academicintegrity.org, or our Facebook page for additional information. Before I continue to introduce our speaker, I want to go over a few logistics. Today, we do have over 450 people registered to be tuning into this webinar. Throughout the webinar, I encourage you to use your question tab to ask a question, and throughout this, I will be collating these questions, and at the end of the presentation, Dr. Orr will answer as many as possible. Today, we have the privilege of hearing from Dr. James Orr. Dr. Orr currently serves as the Assistant Provost for Academic Strategy and Policy at Virginia Tech University. Dr. Orr also serves as an affiliated assistant professor in the higher education program. Dr. Orr has administrative oversight for the institution's academic integrity initiatives. Prior to joining Virginia Tech, he served as the director of the Honor Code Council Office at Mississippi State University, as well as an adjunct professor in the Student Affairs Master's program. He oversaw the university's academic misconduct policy for undergraduate, graduate, and professional students. Dr. Orr has had several years of experience overseeing the implementation of educational programs designed to promote a culture of honesty and integrity. He has successfully led initiatives to revise the academic integrity at 2 land-grant research universities. Dr. Orr consistently gives presentations on pedagogy strategies to promote academic integrity, organizational responses to academic misconduct, and campus partnerships to enhance the academic integrity of the university. Dr. Orr also teaches in the areas of higher education law and policy, budgeting, assessment, and organizational theory. He holds a Bachelor's of Arts degree in economics from the University of Tennessee at Martin. His master's and doctorate of philosophy degrees are from public policy and administration from Mississippi State University. Without further ado, I will hand the floor over to Dr. Orr.
Thank you, Camilla. Thank you, everyone who is joining in. I want to extend a special thanks to the International Center for Academic Integrity for organizing the webinars and for Turnitin for co-sponsoring them with us. We'll jump right in. Today I'm going to talk about creating an academic integrity community through campus partnerships and educational initiatives. Now, as I go through my conversation, what I've done is I have taken not just the ideas of how to create those partnerships and educational initiatives, but I'm also going to use example slides from programming initiatives that I've implemented on 2 college campuses. I'm going to talk about best practices, the importance of evaluating the campus culture, what I call the 3 legs of the stool to really get support from a campus community in regards to academic integrity initiatives. Then I'll talk about a little bit about the ethos or culture communication, the policies and procedures. Oftentimes when we think about educational initiatives to promote a culture of academic integrity, we don't think about the importance of the policies and procedures being ones that really enhance and support the education and outreach that we're doing. Finally, I'll talk about collaborative promotion and outreach, and then the importance of assessment, so that we're not just doing programs and initiatives, but we're assessing and evaluating the effectiveness of our programs and initiatives. So I want to start off with this caveat, and that's the true promotion of academic integrity really involves a coordinated campus conversation. One unit or one office or one department on campus can't lead an effective coordinating and promotion of academic integrity. It really requires the entire campus. And what's most successful in promoting a culture of integrity and honesty, it really depends on the campus culture. So while I will talk about best practices that's been gleaned from the research and the practices that I've had, what I really believe is important to do is to really consider the campus community and the culture of the institution. So we'll get started with what I call the three legs of the stool to really promote a culture of integrity and honesty. I talk about academic integrity from an honor code perspective, but research done in the 90s lets us know that institutions that really have a strong culture of academic integrity is really not based on whether or not you have an honor code versus whether you do not have an honor code. There's often honor code institutions that actually don't have a culture of integrity and honesty or a strong culture of integrity and honesty versus institutions that don't have an honor code. Many times they do. They may have a strong culture. So it's really not about the presence of an honor code or the lack of presence of an honor code. But here's what matters. Institutions that have a strong culture of academic integrity, they have senior level support for the academic integrity initiatives on campus. So the president, the provost, and other senior level administrators, they talk about integrity and honesty and why it's important as a campus community. Then you get to what I call the three legs of the stool. The first is that academic integrity should be high on the campus agenda. So when you walk around campus and you talk to the students about academic integrity, is it something that they know about? Is it something that they're aware of? When you look at the campus newspapers, is integrity and honesty something that pops up and appears in the campus newspaper? And then there has to be significant involvement and support from the faculty. Academic integrity initiatives that do not have significant involvement and support from faculty are usually not effective. And the final leg is that it's important to have significant involvement and support from students. So students and faculty should be deeply involved in the education initiatives as well as the hearing of cases and all the elements that's designed to support a culture of academic integrity. So when I talk about getting support and building educational initiatives, I really view it from a systems approach that involves the entire campus. So as I talk about building support for academic integrity initiatives, first I'm going to really look at it from this systems approach as in terms of the ethos. So what message do we communicate about academic integrity to the campus community? Then I'll talk about collaborative outreach and programming. So what programming initiatives do we engage in that's designed to really create this culture of support and love and involvement in academic integrity? And then the final point that I'll talk about are the policies and procedures that really engage folks in successful academic integrity initiatives. So when I talk about the ethos, what I really mean is the culture and the value system of the institution. I think that it's important that academic integrity is something to be revered and upheld on a college campus, and that the promotion of academic integrity is more important than stopping cheating. One of the things that I've heard Tricia talk about is that we should seek to create communities in which academic dishonesty is the exception and not the norm. But we should go beyond telling students, don't cheat, don't plagiarize, and we should seek to promote a culture and a community in which they don't engage in academic dishonesty because it's not something that students do on your campus. One of the things that we talk about at Virginia Tech is that Hokies don't cheat. So we try to go beyond telling students not to cheat and not to plagiarize by really creating this community in which cheating and plagiarism is really something that we view as unacceptable. And in order to do that, faculty and students must be engaged in the academic integrity initiatives. I believe that if you have an honor system, that faculty and students really are the heart and soul of an effective honor system. And if you do not have an honor system, faculty and students have to be the heart and soul of the education and outreach initiatives that you utilize. So some of the guiding principles that I believe should undergird all the messaging about academic integrity to really promote the ethos is that faculty must demonstrate a personal commitment to academic integrity. So it's important that faculty go beyond saying the university has an academic integrity policy, and because the university has an academic integrity policy, I am going to report you if you cheat. But they should say that I value integrity and honesty. And because integrity and honesty is important in my course and in my discipline, I'm going to hold you to the highest standards of integrity and honesty. And not only am I going to hold you to the highest standards of integrity and honesty as students, but I'm also going to conduct myself with the highest standards of integrity and honesty. It's important that we also demonstrate that integrity is important to the career and professional development of students. Oftentimes, students will see academic integrity initiatives as these abstract initiatives that only apply to them in college. But we want to go beyond that by showing students how integrity and honesty will not only have an impact on them while they're at your institution, but also when they leave and they go out into the workforce. And finally, it's important that faculty report cases of academic integrity. When students believe that faculty are going to report cases of academic misconduct, they're much more likely to abide by the university's honor code procedures or academic integrity policies and procedures. And it also prevents faculty from operating outside of the university's established guidelines, which ultimately prevents us from knowing if people are committing academic misconduct violations in multiple courses and on multiple assignments. I think that in terms of the ethos that we want to promote, this idea that integrity and honesty is something to be revered and upheld on campus, not only should we engage faculty, but we should also engage students. Some of the things that I've done in the past and I found to be very successful is to utilize student government leaders to write letters to the editor of the campus newspaper, speaking about why integrity and honesty is important to the institution and to students, to engage orientation leaders, to create academic integrity videos in which students talk about integrity and honesty, and using those videos to be played at orientations. And finally, to discuss a shared responsibility amongst both students and faculty to promote and protect the academic integrity of the institution. One of the examples that I use with our students and our students use with other students is that if I get a degree from Virginia Tech, and while I'm here getting my degree, I'm cheating, and everyone knows that I'm cheating, but no one says anything because they say, oh, that's James Orr's problem, it's not my issue, I'm not going to say anything. And then I go work for this big company. And when I leave that company, here's what the company will say when someone else from my institution goes to apply for a job. You know, I understand that that institution is a great institution. Their students, they are deeply committed to service, and they really look good on paper. But I'm never going to hire another student from that institution because when you get them in the job, they actually don't have the skill set that their degree implies that they have. And so I tell students that what that means is that it's important for them to hold each other accountable for the promotion of integrity and honesty, because when they do that, they're protecting the value of their degree, and they're also protecting the value of their great institution. So it's important that we have the message, and that is that integrity and honesty is something to be upheld, to be revered and valued on the college campus. Or or in a primary or secondary school as well. And then secondly, there has to be collaborative outreach and programming that reinforces the ethos and the values that the institution has. What I found is that it's important for academic integrity initiatives to consistently stay before the campus. And some of the things that I've done is periodic newsletters. I think it's important to send emails to students about academic integrity at the beginning and at the end of the semester. I also send emails to faculty about academic integrity initiatives. Usually I will send an email to the faculty at the beginning of the semester just reminding them about the honor code and our academic integrity procedures, but also giving them tips on how to discuss integrity and honesty to the students in their classes. And then at the end of the semester, I will send a follow-up email with other suggestions that the faculty can use to engage their students in a dialogue on the importance of academic integrity and honesty. I think it's important to establish planning committees from across campus that's really there to assist and help in the promotion and programming of academic integrity initiatives. In a second, when I move to the slides where I begin to talk about some of the programming initiatives that I've implemented, what you'll find is that we have an honor code office here on our campus, but we always try to engage individuals outside of the honor code office in the promotion and outreach initiatives that we do. I send bi-monthly reports to important stakeholders, usually the deans and the department heads. The goal is to keep the honor code and keep academic integrity before their eyes. So bi-monthly, I will send a report that outlines the initiatives and the programs that we have engaged in. End of the year reports are absolutely critical. I think it's important to recap the year with the campus community, in which you include data, in which you include comments and various programs and initiatives that the campus is engaged in. And finally, campus newspaper articles are absolutely critical. One of the things that I've done in the past is that throughout the once or twice a semester, what I will do is put in information about the number of students who were reported for an honor code violation, the number of students who were found responsible, and the sanctions that students receive for engaging in academic dishonesty. And the reason why that's important is because it's important for faculty and for students in the campus community to know, one, that people actually report cases of academic dishonesty, and that when cases of academic dishonesty are reported, that the university takes those cases very seriously and that students do receive sanctions for engaging in academic dishonesty. I think it's important that the office that's responsible for the promotion of academic integrity or the unit on campus that's responsible for that they partner with a Center for Teachings and Learnings or whatever exists on a campus that's designed to provide ongoing professional development for the faculty. It's important to partner with academic departments and really promote a discussion among the academic departments on academic integrity. That can be done through departmental presentations, seminars for faculty. And one of the things that I have found to be very effective is to identify what I call academic integrity champions in various academic departments and encourage them to do roundtable discussions for the faculty in their departments on the importance of integrity and honesty, or roundtable discussions that highlight the challenges that their department and their students are facing and ways that the university can assist them with those challenges. And I also believe it's important to recognize faculty who are champions of academic integrity, to recognize those faculty who are really helping to engage the university in a meaningful dialogue on academic integrity. This may be through an awards ceremony. This may be one of the things that I do is if I have a faculty member who I know is up for tenure and promotion, I will write a letter that they can include in their tenure packet, and I'll just speak to their efforts and how important their efforts are to the institution's culture and climate of integrity and honesty. And a big one that I think is important is that not all institutions have professional advisors in academic colleges or a central advising center. But if you do have that, I think it's absolutely critical to engage those folks who are academic advisors in academic departments. Overall, really, an honor system or a office that's responsible, or a person who is responsible for the academic integrity policies and procedures on a campus or within an academic department, they should really be viewed not just as a place where people go when someone has engaged in academic dishonesty, but they should be viewed as a person or an office that's really there to offer resources and strategies and tips on how to prevent academic misconduct from occurring before it happens. Now, one of the things that I listed on this last bullet on this slide is to be creative when engaging faculty, and it's important to use your time wisely. And you'll see what I mean on a couple of these slides as I talk through some of the pictures. One of the things that I do is I offer to speak at faculty retreats about the university's academic integrity policies and procedures and strategies to prevent academic misconduct from occurring. We all know that faculty are often very busy, and academic department meetings are very busy. So what I do is I don't ask for a lot of time. I ask for about 5 or 10 minutes, and I really try to stress the importance of having a conversation with students about your expectations for academic integrity, and also making sure that the faculty know where the resources are on campus that are available to help them in their efforts to promote a culture of integrity and honesty. If you're at an institution that has a lot of graduate teaching assistants, I think it's absolutely critical to get on those GTA orientation agendas. I found on 2 campuses that it's usually easier to have 30 minutes or more time to speak to those students. But it's important that the graduate teaching assistants buy into the honor code, buy into the university's academic integrity policies and procedures and initiatives, because a lot of times they're going to be the ones who are really engaging those first and second year students. The final thing that I put on the screen is a brief sort of newsletter and bi-monthly report that I often send out to the campus community. I keep those things very short, but usually it highlights resources that faculty can use to promote academic integrity in their classes. Now, one of the things that when I hear people talk about promoting academic integrity, I think one of the things that's important to do is to show some of the conversations that you actually have with faculty. So I'm going to go through a couple of sample slides of things that I discuss with faculty. Okay. The very first thing that I do when I'm talking to faculty, if I don't have a lot of time, is that I encourage them to demonstrate a personal commitment to academic integrity, as I discussed earlier. I encourage them to demonstrate that academic integrity is important to the careers of students. And I also try to get them to develop shared expectations of academic integrity initiatives and how academic integrity will be viewed in the classroom. And finally, I tell faculty that it's important to take visible action to prevent academic misconduct from occurring. The example that I use is that at my former institution, we found out that some students had been engaging in academic misconduct through a Facebook group. And a student came to the faculty member and reported the incident. Well, that semester, the faculty member reported it through the university's formal process and procedures, and all of the students who engaged in academic misconduct were adjudicated under the university's process, and they were found responsible and they were sanctioned. And what that faculty member does at the beginning of all of their classes now is that they stand up before the class on their very first day of class, and they'll say to the students, "I want you all to know that I value integrity and honesty, that it's important to me as a faculty member. And I want you all to know that, because if you become aware of academic misconduct in the class, I want you to let me know, because I take it seriously. And one time I had a case where students were engaging in academic dishonesty. A student came and reported it to me. I followed the university standards and procedures, and the university resolved those cases, and some of those students are no longer students at the institution. And I just want you to know that I value integrity and honesty. And that conversation is extremely powerful for students. And when students hear faculty say that, that really puts a spirit and just a ambition in them to uphold and value the university's standards of integrity and honesty. I also encourage faculty to speak highly of the university's academic integrity initiatives. What I tell faculty, I say, if you report a case and you have a bad experience, please don't go stand around the water cooler and talk about how bad the university's academic integrity procedures are. Just write us a letter and let us know, because we're trying to cultivate a culture of integrity and honesty on campus, and we're trying to continuously improve. I try to solicit faculty to assist in gaining support from other faculty. And I tell faculty that when academic dishonesty occurs, because we know that it will, that one, they should report the case of dishonesty, and that the university's philosophy and their philosophy should be to strive to educate students, not to punish students. And that education could be when an academic misconduct violation occurs, or it could be prior to a violation of academic dishonesty. But the goal is to educate and not punish students. Now I want to move to conversations that I have with students, and I want to start off with orientation programs, because I know that oftentimes at many campuses, being able to talk about academic integrity or honor code procedures at orientation is often very challenging. So what I want to do is talk about a little bit of the strategies that I've utilized to engage in our orientation programs. The very first thing that I do is that I get on the training agenda for the orientation leaders. And when we train the orientation leaders on academic integrity, we don't talk to them about tell students not to cheat and not to plagiarize, and here's the definitions of plagiarism, and here are the definitions of cheating. But rather we talk to students about why we have an honor code and why academic integrity is important to the institution. And we teach students how to really get at those ethos and those shared values of integrity and honesty when they engage our new students during orientation about the honor code. And of course we tell them where resources are, where they can actually read the policy and the procedures, but that's not really what we're educating them about. We're educating them about how to engage in a conversation about integrity and honesty with students, so that they come to not just realize that we have an honor code, but why we have an honor code. We have a family as partner session at Virginia Tech, and we get I get 5 minutes with the parents and families of all incoming students. And during that conversation, what I do is I stick to those talking points on honor and integrity, and that as an institution, that we're not only trying to educate students, but we're trying to educate them so that when they leave the institution, they can be men and women who will engage in their dealings with integrity and honesty. And what we found is that really resonates with the parents. We participate in the campus resource fairs, and when we participate in the campus resource fairs, we give out information about the academic integrity policies and procedures, as well as ways that incoming students can get involved with those initiatives. One of the things that we do is something that we call the Academic Integrity and Success Learning Module. when we establish the Academic Integrity and Success Learning module, it is essentially an online module that students can complete to learn more information about the university's honor code, but not just the university's honor code, but also study skills and strategies that can help students avoid being in a situation in which they commit an act of academic dishonesty. And what's very interesting about that is that when we established our Academic Integrity and Success Learning module, we reached out to people with our Cranewell International Center. We reached out to people in our Dean of Students office. We reached out to academic advisors, librarians, the Student Success Center, because we wanted multiple people to be involved in the development of the Academic Integrity module, and we also wanted the module to be able to be marketed as something that's not just here's how you know the resources available to you in terms of what academic misconduct is, but we also wanted to be able to promote it as something that would actually enhance the student success and potentially retention and graduation rates for our students. And finally, one of the things that we do to help orient students is we conduct a Understanding the Code session the first week of classes every semester, and it's held at night. So it's held on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of the first week of class, and it's the same information, and it's an hour and a half long. And what we do is we present information about here's what constitutes a violation of the honor code. Here's how you avoid violating the honor code. Now, students aren't required to attend those sessions, but how we get students to attend those sessions is that we reach out to the faculty and we say, we believe it's important that you have a conversation about academic integrity in your class, but here's a resource that we have available that you can utilize and have your students go to that doesn't take up class time and will allow them to learn more information about the university's academic integrity policies and procedures. And what's so exciting about that is that a lot of faculty will send their students to those sessions, and we actually have our students present those sessions. And it doesn't take up a lot of time for us to advertise or conduct, and it's a very easy way to engage with students and faculty. So really, I think that the important point about successful orientation programs is that, one, it's very difficult usually to get a lot of time before students during orientation. And if you're at a campus where you get to do that, I think that's amazing and that's awesome. But oftentimes it's very difficult to get a lot of time before students. But if you do want to participate in orientation programs and you're having a hard time getting people to buy into that, I think that you should talk about, or what I found to be effective, is talking about a community of trust, honor and integrity. What parent would not want their son or daughter to go to an institution that says, not only are we trying to teach you the skills that you'll need to be successful, but we're also trying to help you to develop into men and women of integrity and honesty. And also to talk about student success and to engage student affairs in the planning with orientations and really ensuring that those folks know that the message that you're going to be communicating is about honor. It's about creating a community of trust and integrity. And I think it's important to engage the faculty as well, but to make academic integrity fun if you can. And I know that sometimes that may be a challenge, but there are creative ways to make academic integrity something that's fun. We do on our bulletin boards that we have during the orientation fairs, we have games that students can play where they can guess a definition, they can spin a wheel, and it will land on something, and if they can answer the question correctly, then they'll get a prize. But the idea is that you want to make it something that's fun, and that usually orientation folks they get uncomfortable when you spend a lot of time during orientation talking about the sanctioning and those type of things. But if you can talk about honor and integrity and point students to resources for if they have questions about the academic integrity policies and procedures, that's usually more effective. I think it's important to partner, the student affairs and academic affairs partner to promote a culture of integrity and honesty. On some campuses, the academic folks say that the academic integrity policies and procedures are ours and only ours, and on other campuses, the Division of Student Affairs will say that, but I think it's important that there be a partnership. It's important to do outreach programs such as academic integrity days and weeks, and to really collaborate with other departments to conduct those programs. So some places have very small offices, but if you reach out to other departments to conduct programs that deal with integrity, that deal with honesty, it doesn't have to be academic integrity, it could, but to really engage other departments. I think it's important to conduct monthly programs, whether they're passive or active. You'll see some of the things that I've done in the past on a few of the pictures that I'll show you in the next couple of slides. And then the honoring the code sessions that I mentioned earlier, having those occur early fall semester is important. Honor system presentations are important. One of the things that I found to be very effective is really getting before student organizations and in the residence halls to talk about academic integrity, but also conducting classroom presentations. And I think it's important to promote student leadership in the education and the outreach when it comes to academic integrity initiatives. That could be through proctoring programs. It could be through a student organization that's designed solely to promote integrity and honesty. But the point is that it's important to engage students in the promotion and discussion of academic integrity. And what I've done is I'm going to give you a few examples. One of the things that I did at my former institution is that we had an examination proctoring program. And what we did with our examination proctoring program is that we did exam proctoring recruitment weeks, and we had student volunteers from various organizations on campus that we trained that would be present to help a faculty member in a large lecture course proctor examinations. We won awards for that program. Students loved participating in it because it gave them an opportunity to provide service to the campus community. And in fact, faculty would often write us letters telling us how much they appreciate the examination proctoring program and how it helped them to view the university's honor system and academic integrity processes as not just a way to punish students, but also a way to help cultivate a culture of integrity and honesty. Other things that I've done is Honor Council recruitment weeks. So we host weeks where we seek to engage students in the promotion of academic integrity through recruiting them. And one of the things that we try to do is to tie our messaging to values and symbols that the university holds dear and near to their heart, to its heart. So this example, the background is made of Hokie stone. At Virginia Tech, a lot of the buildings are made out of Hokie stone, and we have this idea of uprosum, and uprosum means that I may serve. And so when we do our messaging to recruit students for our academic integrity initiatives, we try to always tie it back to uprosum, and we try to utilize things that students already relate to and have an affinity towards on campus. We try to use other students in talking about academic integrity initiatives and talking about why it's a cool and neat thing to be involved in the university's academic integrity outreach and programming initiatives. And once we get them, we also try to train our students on best practices and what does the literature say to actually be effective in promoting a culture of integrity and honesty. And then the final thing that we try to do with our students in terms of recruiting them to engage in academic integrity initiatives is that it has to be something that's viewed as important by the university. So we try to have a nice dinner with our students at the beginning of the year when they're selected, and a nice end of the year award ceremony where we have them dress up. Because if they believe that it's something that the university values and is important, then they're going to be more likely to participate. The final three slides that I'll show you is some of the other creative things that we do. One is we do a honor the pancake, and what we did is we made pancakes, and we would go into the residence halls and talk about integrity and honesty using just pancakes and handing out information about the honor code. We would also establish honor code boards or bulletin boards across campus in which we would give out stickers and definitions of academic integrity and ways students could promote a culture of integrity and honesty. This is an example of another one of the bulletin boards that we would do. And here is just napkin holders. On the right side of your screen is a napkin holder about integrity and honesty that we would put on campus. I think it's also important to engage the media in the discussion and promotion of integrity and honesty. So anytime we were doing an academic integrity week or a big event, we always contact the media and encourage them to come and cover those things. And then this is an example of not only do we contact the printed media, but we also contact television stations and encourage them to engage in a conversation about academic integrity. The last few points that I'll make is that when we talk about cultivating a culture of integrity and honesty, it's important that we think about the message that we're communicating, collaborative outreach and programming that we can conduct that's designed to prevent academic misconduct from occurring. But then it's also important that our policies and procedures be such that students and faculty can be engaged in the promotion of integrity and honesty. So I think it's important that students and faculty be leaders in the promotion of integrity and honesty, both in the outreach but also the case adjudication. I think it's important that the rules for academic integrity procedures be clearly published, as well as the expectations. And then everything from the outreach that we do, but also when students do have missteps in regards to academic misconduct, that we seek to be educational and not punitive. And the final point is that it's important that we give students due process and fundamental fairness, but that also that we're resolving cases in an efficient and timely manner. I think I'll stop there and give folks an opportunity to ask any questions that they may have.
Thank you, Dr. Orr. We have had several questions come through, and so I encourage you, if you still have questions, to post them, and we will hopefully get to them. So to kind of get us started a little bit, we had one question from Bishop McGinnis Catholic High School, and actually it's kind of a two-part. You talked right at the kind of toward the beginning of the webinar about collaborative outreach programs. And so the question we have from there is, how do you begin to really establish those if you don't really know how to or who to really work with for those collaborative outreach programs? In particular, do you have special ideas or any ideas for a high school environment outside the collegiate environment?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the very first thing that is important to do is to sit down and talk to people, to identify folks who may have a common interest in the promotion of integrity and honesty. In the high school environment, I think it's important to sit down and talk to other teachers who may have similar interests, and then really seek to engage students with activities and events that they don't always have to deal directly with academic integrity. They may deal with ethics or integrity or service, and really connecting students with those type of events and activities really helps. At the high school level, you could do an academic integrity week or essay competitions, just anything that will get students to develop a strong commitment to learning and thinking about integrity and honesty.
Good, thank you. We've had several questions regarding the same kind of topic about, do you have any suggestions on especially how to work with academic integrity and building that commitment to academic integrity prior to a violation, especially with our international students? Or do you have specific orientations for the international students? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good question. If you're on a college campus that has an international students orientation, I think it's important to spend time speaking at the international student orientations about the university's integrity standards. But what I think is more important is to engage people on your campus who works with international students, so that you can develop your outreach and your programming material towards using language and sort of communication that they will understand. One of the things that I think that we try to do is that with our online academic integrity module, we developed that in close consultation with our Cranewell International Center. And we went beyond the normal standards by giving examples of academic dishonesty and a conversation about why those things constituted academic dishonesty. And then we had a conversation with students about attribution. You know, in some cultures, if you copy and you paste information directly from somewhere and you use that information, usually in some cultures that's a sign of respect and honor. And the conversation that we have is that we also value using other folks' information, but we go a step further by attributing where we got that information from so that we can give them the highest praises and honor. But I think that that's the best way to do it, is to engage them in a conversation by really meeting with the folks who work directly with international students and understanding what their challenges are and helping them to address those things.
Good, thank you. Another very common question that's come out is, how do you address or adapt these ideas for academic integrity to our online communities, for especially the increase of distance education? So how do you make some of these available or exciting and interactive for our online community?
Yeah, I think the immediately comes to mind is the online modules are very important. It's also important that faculty who teach online courses, that they seek to really engage students in true learning. I mean, if I were talking about online courses, I think the module is important, but I also think it's important that we just use good pedagogy in those online and distance education courses, that we ensure that we are doing things and assignments that require students to synthesize the information, to get excited about it. One of the underlining points in the academic integrity literature is that if we can engage students in true learning, and that they're less likely to engage in academic misconduct.
Several of your points were having events for students to attend. So there's some questions about, one, how are those financially supported, or is there any kind of financial support for some of those events? And then how many people might attend those events? What would you consider as a good attendance number, if there is a number? And then lastly, whether it's you and your staff actually planning those events, or whether it's student members of the Honor Council or other students in your office. Can you talk a little bit logistically about those events?
Yeah, those are good questions. So I've been on a campus where we've had a nice sized staff where we've been able to do that, and then I've been on a smaller on a campus where the staff has been much smaller. So there's a couple of points. Point one is that you can have effective events if you engage the faculty in the classroom. So our understanding the code events that I mentioned earlier, we do that on the first week of classes for an hour and a half, the entire first week of classes. And we usually have very good turnouts, but it's because we have sent emails to the faculty saying, look, we're sponsoring these Understanding the Code events, and if you really want your students to have an understanding of what academic integrity is, encourage your students to come to that event. So we're able to have huge turnouts with that event, and all we did was reserve a room, develop a PowerPoint, and then we worked with faculty to encourage their students to attend. The other thing that we do is we engage the campus community. So for our academic integrity weeks, our office could not plan an entire campus academic integrity week. But what our office will do is we'll reach out to the Career Center and we'll say, we know that you conduct presentations on ethics in the job search. Would you be willing to, during academic integrity week, to advertise your ethics in the job search event to the people that you normally advertise it to and encourage folks to attend? And so we reach out to multiple offices on campus, and really it doesn't cost us a whole lot of money, because what we've done is we've reached out to people to conduct events that they normally do. We use our graduate assistant at my former institution, and as part of their 20 hours a week that they were doing, they were responsible for conducting an active program. When I say active, that would be they would go speak to a student group, or they would be on our drill field handing out information, and a passive program per month, and that would be helping to develop a newsletter or one of our bi-monthly reports. So I think the point is that you don't have to conduct hundreds of programs, and you also don't have to feel like you need to conduct and develop a host of programs. But what you have to do is to be able to identify things that are already going on campus that have an integrity and an honesty theme to it, and encourage those people to do the things that they normally do, just to do it in conjunction with your academic integrity efforts.
Thank you. Switching gears a little bit, even though a lot of your presentation talked about being very proactive and preventative, most of the people and attendees probably know that academic dishonesty occurrences do occur. And so there's some questions about sanctioning, and what are some of the sanctions you feel are the most effective beyond punitive outcomes, and do you have some ideas of sanctions that would deter future violations? Such as giving how many chances a student might have to learn before failing a class or being suspended from school. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think how we sanction students is extremely important, and our goal should be educational in how we approach sanctioning students. But I also believe that we should incentivize with our conversation about how we're going to how we could potentially sanction students. We should create that incentive for them not to engage in academic dishonesty. We know that many students, not all students, when they're determining whether or not they're going to engage in academic dishonesty, they do a cost-benefit analysis. What's the chances of me being caught, and if I'm caught, what will happen? I know that oftentimes institutions and folks, they love the zero on the assignment. But if you think about the incentive structure with the zero on the assignment, the student says, if I cheat, I will get a zero on the assignment. If I don't cheat, I will actually fail this assignment. So sometimes that may actually create an incentive to engage in academic dishonesty. I'm a big proponent of Gary Pavella's discussion of the XF, which is failure in the course, and a notation on the student's transcript that they failed because they engaged in academic dishonesty. And they can have that transcript notation moved by going through, on our campus we call it the Academic Integrity Intervention Program. We have an on-campus seminar where we talk about what constitutes a violation of the Honor Code and how you avoid violations of the Honor Code. And then we also have an ethical decision-making model that Gary Pavella's team does for students to go through. So fundamentally, I tend to be on that spectrum that in most cases of academic dishonesty, we should look at something like an XF as the starting point for how we sanction a student, but that should not be the sanction that we assign in all circumstances. And real quickly, how that plays out at Virginia Tech is that we say to our students, don't engage in academic misconduct, because when you engage in academic misconduct, the normal sanction that we will assign is the XF. Now, when a case actually comes in, there may be lesser sanctions such as a 0 on the assignment, a lowered course grade, or more severe sanctions that we assign to a student. But the idea is that we communicate to the student that if you engage in academic dishonesty, that we start at the XF and then we make a determination as to whether something lesser or greater is warranted.
Good. Thank you. A couple questions regarding looking at faculty, and one's pretty just very direct, that what do you do when faculty are reluctant to report academic integrity violations because they may feel uncomfortable doing so, or they might feel that it interferes with that friendly and constructive relationship between faculty and students? And kind of on the side note is, what about if faculty are told from upper administration that the student is the customer, and so it's really the student has that ability to do their work as they would like, and kind of a third part for that dealing with faculty is some faculty are afraid that if they rock the boat a little bit too much, either by reporting violations or trying to promote and change things in their institution, then if they are on a yearly contract, they have the chance of having those contracts disappear. So there's lots of topics there, but all dealing with the idea of faculty.
Yeah, one of the things that I think is absolutely important, if you read the literature, a lot of faculty, most of the time, when they don't report is because of some of the things that were sort of ducktailed in that question. So the very first thing I think is that the university's process and procedures should have senior level administrative support, and that's absolutely critical. And the process and procedures should make it as easy as possible to report and resolve a case of academic dishonesty. And that it's important that our process and procedures are not perceived as being legal proceedings. Sometimes I'll visit some campuses, and this is a change we made at my current institution, is that this idea that every case of academic dishonesty does not require a full-blown hearing. And if all of your cases require a full-blown hearing panel, then are we really doing our due diligence, one, to make reporting easy, and to educate students on why we hold these standards of integrity and honesty? Because a student who did not understand that they were plagiarizing, and they go to a hearing panel and they defend that they did not plagiarize, and we ask them questions and we say, okay, you're responsible for plagiarism, have we really educated that student? So I'm a big proponent of models of adjudication, such as a facilitated discussion model. You see that at the University of Georgia, Kennesaw State, where essentially a representative from the Academic Integrity Office will sit down with a faculty member and a student, and they can resolve low-level cases that way, or a process that allows a faculty member and a student to sit down, and the faculty member has a conversation with the student about why they believe the student engaged in academic misconduct, and the student can accept responsibility and accept any sanctions that's being recommended. In my experiences, all too often, on the academic integrity side of things, we set up very much so legal proceedings where we talk about conviction, and we try to mirror the legal process. And when we do that, we often take the educational conversation out of academic misconduct violations. And I think that when we establish procedures that are more student development focused, we're able to use academic misconduct proceedings as teachable and educational moments. One of the things that people used to laugh about at my other institution, there was a couple of students who we had suspended from the institution for engaging in academic dishonesty, and they would, when they came back, they would bring cookies and they bring me cookies and our staff cookies, and they were really engaged in what we did to promote academic integrity, because they said that no one ever sat down and had a conversation with them like we had with them. And so really I think fundamentally from a policy perspective, there has to be senior level administrative support, and then secondly, the university's policies and procedures should be designed to really educate students. And whoever had that question, I'm willing to talk more offline with you about that as well, because I know I just gave a real high level answer.
Well, we want to thank Dr. Orr again for his time and talent for this webinar. We really hope that the information provided leads to both beneficial and very practical discussions around your community and campus. I do want to let you know I've had several questions about whether this presentation was recorded and will be published. It will be available on the Turnitin website, and then it will have a link also from the ICAI website, and then we will also post the actual slides for your ability to take a look at. We do encourage you, if you want to reach out to Dr. Orr, you can do so as well. Again, thank you to the International Center for Academic Integrity and for Turnitin for both co-sponsoring this event, and thank you very much for your attendance today. I do want to note that there will be 3 more upcoming webinars. Next Monday, we will be hosting a webinar entirely in Spanish, and then we will resume English language webinars on March 29th and April 28th. Information for registration of those will be available soon, both through ICAI and Turnitin. We look forward to having you and your colleagues be a part of those events. Thank you again, and have a good afternoon.